So I'm Hunter Kippen. I just recently, like as of April 15th, defended my thesis at the University of Maryland. Um, I've primarily been focusing on like the concrete security of lattice schemes. So that includes FHE, but that's more of an ancillary to the main thrust of my research, but it's quite important. So that's quite interesting, right? So I mean, I basically heard about it as soon as I started my PhD program. And obviously the first thing I thought was like, wow, that sounds impossible. And then I found out somebody did it. And then I was like, maybe I should quit. Maybe I should clarify. I mean, quit. Like it just was really intimidating that somebody had actually managed to develop something like this. And so I was like, oh God, is that what I have to measure up to as a PhD student? Uh, but it was super exciting and very interesting. Uh, That's a very good question. For me, as a cryptanalyst, I find CKKS the most interesting scheme for me because it poses a lot of different questions. I mean, considering the amount of attacks that have been discovered and what they and the nuances thereof, I think it's like there's still quite a bit left unexplored because we're still deploying it, right? And that's like the focus of today's talk. Um, and I find that quite interesting that there's still things that we can play with to make it maybe not necessarily more secure, but like usable in the real world, and that's exciting. The other schemes obviously have a lot more robust security reductions at this point, and so there's not as much for me personally to play with. So ooh, well, it kind of happened by chance for me. It was sort of as a consequence of my work on lattice encryption and just like it's the hardness of learning theirs and all of that stuff. And since a lot of FHE schemes are based on that, the natural questions that we were asking were trying to figure out how to extend our results to FHE. FHE presents some unique challenges because of the parameter sizes and those sorts of things. But it also then means that some of this work has some practical implications in the real world. So that's quite interesting and a good motivator. I would say the mathematics, or at least not getting intimidated by it. A lot of the algebraic number theory is opaque and inaccessible to somebody who's not a student, somebody who knows that already. So that's, a challenge. But ultimately, I found that, at least for some of the work that I was doing, that wasn't entirely necessary to be fully um, engaged with that. So I was able to find the places where I was able to contribute. I would assume the next major steps are obviously getting hardware implementations, getting that stuff in data centers. I mean, we've come a long way on the software front, but getting people to actually use real accelerated things and seeing what applications they can build from that is where we're going to have to go. Because until people are actually really, truly deploying this at large scale, it's going to be very hard to know what the security challenges are going to be. I mean, everyone's going to say efficiency. And while that's true, I think we're getting to the point where, again, it's like we just need the hardware acceleration. There's not a whole lot left, I think. I mean, there's quite a lot left on the compilation front, but on the baseline library stuff, performance is pretty solid. Um, but I think, yeah, just general usability is where we need to be focused because getting these tools in the hands of developers. I mean, look at what happened with the cryptocurrency people with their state machine stuff, where they actually have programming languages, some of the things that people are actually using. I think ultimately it's about figuring out the parts of it that are interesting to you. Because it's a complicated and difficult subject. I mean, FHE as it was developed took, 30 plus years of cryptographic history to get there. And now it's been developed to a point where we're starting to like against the application. So I think it's a matter of figuring out where you want to contribute and then figuring out the problems that are interesting to you in that space.